So I got to give credit to Goldman Sachs. They have been calling out a lot of things about what's happening in the AI field. And so far, it seems that they've been doing it very accurately. We've covered a few of their reports that they've published throughout 2023. And whenever I kind of go back to those videos, it dawns on me, yeah, they really knew kind of where the puck was heading. They knew exactly what direction to skate in. They're ahead of the curve on their understanding of where the money's going to go. And just recently, they published this article saying AI poised to begin shifting from excitement to deployment in 2024. And we're really beginning to see this now. 2023, a lot of it was kind of like the hype, the excitement. Here's what it could do. Here's what it might do. Here's a little demo. But now very rapidly, we're going to be shifting into seeing real projects, real money, real use cases begin to emerge. A few months ago, I did a video about why you should be building your own autonomous AI agents. And I described a situation where you wake up in the morning and you wake up to your autonomous AI agent that has been generating money and taking care of customer service and building these custom solutions for people and basically running the entirety of your business. In this video, I'll show you examples of autonomous AI agents being used for business. I'll show you examples of six-figure businesses being built, businesses that bring in 200,000. 500,000, some approaching 8 million per year that have just one founder and use AI to do the heavy lifting. I feel like I got a lot of points correct in that video about building autonomous agents, but a couple of things I was surprised by. One is that it seems like your ability to code may not be as important as we thought. The rapid progress of AI being able to code, create software, we're seeing things right now that are much more advanced than I would have thought even, 4 months ago, 6 months ago, and it's getting better. Open source models that are coding are getting better. If you assume that we're going to have a steady rate of progress, which it's probably not going to be steady, it's probably going to keep compounding and increasing, it might be possible that you're not going to have to write a line of code at all. You're still going to have to learn some new skills. All of us will have to, but actually sitting there and writing out code, that may not be necessary for a lot of this. So really fast, let's start here. So this is Ben Tossell. He runs Ben's Bytes, at this point, probably one of the bigger AI newsletters in the space. I signed up to his newsletter pretty early on and saw it take off like a rocket ship. Really explosive growth this year. And it's definitely one of the top newsletters for me that breaks down what's happening in the world of AI. But the other thing that I like is Ben has built his own tech startup and sold it to Zapier. Here's a little profile on him on Zapier. Ben Tossell. Ben is known as one of the original no-code pioneers. He has built more than 100 products without code. And this was before AI. So this was before AI could do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. There were people that were doing pretty advanced technical stuff while not being able to code. So if you've tried to learn to code in the past and maybe ran into some issues, or you just never tried it, maybe it just seems too difficult, too boring, whatever, don't let your brain trick you into thinking that you can't do any of this. So here's a recent article that Ben has published. I'll link to it. By the way, as of right now, I haven't taken any money to promote anything on this channel. So whatever you see here is just me talking about stuff that I see, that I use, that I like. But so in this article, he goes over a few businesses that are what's called AI wrappers. So usually this is referred to, for example, OpenAI that has their own API where you're basically able to use a lot of the functionality, but kind of build a little wrapper around it. So kind of have your own little app that does one specific thing, but all the functionality for the most part is OpenAI. And a lot of people are scared to build this because every time OpenAI announces something, a lot of these companies tend to go under, right? When OpenAI announced Whisper, the speech to text translation transcription service that it's open source, it's free. Well, anybody that was working on a project like that is just gone. Everybody that was working on Vision when OpenAI announced their Vision, if you're trying to add Vision to GPT-4, when they released their version of it, you're pretty much gone. So this can be a dangerous land to build your business on, but there are, I think, cases that can do extremely well. And it's usually when you find a very niche project where you're able to solve a problem better than the mass market solutions available. And Ben gives us 3 of these little businesses, these little apps that are making quite a bit of money. So the first one is FormulaBot. So if you ever used Excel, very often it's kind of difficult to find the right formula or figure out how to do something in Excel. I've actually been using ChatGPT quite a bit to help me with Excel. Like if you need some very specific formula that you can't either you don't remember exactly how to write it out, or you're just feeling too lazy, you can tell ChatGPT exactly what you want and what numbers you want to have in the formula and what cells, and it'll go ahead and it'll write it out. Then you just copy and paste it. And so FormulaBot, it started as a simple page with no paywall or anything. It got shared on subreddits and Twitter, etc. And it was built using no code. So they use something called Bubble. Bubble.io, and it's used quite a bit for building various apps and pages, etc. with no code. The simple click and drag interface looks like it's got 3.3 million apps that are built on it. And so he kind of built a minimum viable product, something that's just good enough to solve the problem, but no bells and whistles. And he started getting influencer marketing like TikTokers, affiliate program, Reddit, spent $5K on marketing, and now is making $300,000 per year. Keep in mind that since a lot of this is handled through OpenAI with Bubble, which handles the code for you, like you're not doing too much work to keep this going. The solution is provided by the system, the code, the AI. Once you build it, a lot of this is on autopilot. Next, we have Photo AI from Peter Levels, which I've seen him on Twitter before. Create beautiful AI photos without using a camera. And so you can upload selfies, turn it into AI characters, change clothes, etc. Here are some of the examples that they have on there. One thing that always, I think, fascinates me is that if you're kind of deep into the stuff, you assume that everybody else is too. So you might be wondering, well, why wouldn't they just use the AI themselves, the Midjourney or DALL-E or whatever? And it's important to understand that there's going to be a lot of people that just don't know how to use it. They don't want to take the time. They want just a simple, easy solution for their one specific use case that they want. For a long time, when Google Maps was launching there, where you can like list your business on there were people that would just go to brick and mortar businesses and say, hey, I'll get you on Google Maps. They would take a few thousand for it. There wasn't really any trick to getting on Google Maps. Like you just had to go there and claim your property, maybe add some information. The whole thing might be, 10, 15 minutes worth of work. And people were making a lot of money doing that. Not only that, but once they got the business set up on there were a lot of back-end services they could do. They could, ask them if they wanted like a monthly SEO, search engine optimization package, etc. So this thing got the people through the door. And then that relationship allowed for the guy providing the services to sell even more services that business might be interested in. Because you already know this is somebody that has a business, maybe not so tech savvy. There's a lot of things that you could help them with from there on. And so that AI Photo AI is now making $80,000 monthly recurring revenue with 90% plus profit. And so the takeaway is you need the most basic minimum viable product to get something like this going. Build a simple app. You can use Bubble and no code. Connect it to Zapier, connect it to Hugging Face, open source platforms, OpenAI, and then just return the output to the customer. This would be very simple to do and would require, again, zero code, most likely. For the APIs, you might have to learn how to copy, if one piece of software tells you, here's the API code, you might have to copy and paste that over to Zapier and something like that, but it's extremely simple. I haven't done the specific thing, but I've done a little app where you just tell it, get the latest podcast episode from this podcast. It uses OpenAI API to transcribe it, summarize it, and it will return to you whatever you want. Do you want a summary? Do you want a transcription of it? Do you want an article, like a blog post about it? And that was fairly simple. It's not that complicated to do. Now, once you get customers and you have some money rolling in, you could start upgrading it. Maybe you might have to hire a contractor to help you kind of polish it a little bit, add some bells and features and stuff like that. But to make your first dollar, to get your first customer, you don't really need anything too complicated. And then there's PDF AI by Damon Shen. So Damon is a founder. And so users here can upload a PDF and ask it questions. What does this part mean? Or explain the legal jargon. What is my termination clause? And again, so for me, someone that's done literally every single one of these just direct through ChatGPT, it might be weird. Like, why don't they just go there and do it? But the reality is most people will not. And slowly over, a decade, maybe more and more people will figure out how to do that. But majority of the people will prefer to rely on these single-use solutions. Let's say you're getting a brand new lease on an apartment and you just want to go through it and see what are all the charges, all the fees that are going to be listed in there, right? You got this 40-page document. You just upload it and you list every single fee that's either that's going to happen every month or potential fees if you mess up or whatever. And ChatGPT will be able to do that for you and just spit it back and reference you where in the document those fees are listed. And so here's PDF.ai. Yeah, look at that. So $20 a month gets you unlimited PDF upload, unlimited questions. Now you might have a few power users that are going to ask more questions, maybe ran up more of API costs for you than what they're paying, $20 a month. But if you average it out across all the users, most likely your costs are going to be tiny compared to what they're paying. So he makes $500,000 a year with over 500,000 customers. And again, all of these are one-person teams, right? So this isn't 10 developers working together. This is one-person teams. And we know that the Formula Bot is just a Bubble app So no code, pulling in 300,000 per year. By the way, so in the next section, we're going to talk about how to find these opportunities, right? Because I know a lot of you are going to be like, okay, yeah, but what are some other ideas, right? They took all the good ideas, right? Well, no, not quite. There's like a billion more ideas. And even if the idea, somebody already has a solution for it, there are many, many other ways to make money from that same idea. So right now, people have these solutions that they're just charging for. And probably for years, you'll be able to do that, right? You have this one solution, pay me $20 a month, and like you have unlimited access to that solution. Over time, as things get a little bit more centralized, a little bit more competitive, different business models will take shape. So more companies will attempt to provide the solution for free. They'll provide the solution for free. They'll take a loss on any single person that uses that. But maybe they'll do it just to get contact info, email info, right? They're going to acquire that user and then later try to upsell them higher end services. So for example, one of the most expensive things that you can advertise on Google, for example, are legal services. So at the top, I think you have like legal services, credit, loans, and like financial stuff. I think those are like the investing stuff like that. I think those are like the most expensive keywords in general. So let's say you have a PDF specifically for legal questions. Hey, you have a legal contract, you have this, you have that, upload it here, and our little AI will answer all your questions for free. But the point is later, you can target them with specific products and solutions like, hey, do you want a consultation with a lawyer? You can sell those leads to lawyers who will pay staggering money for it. They will probably pay a high fee for each lead. A lot of them will buy those leads, especially if it relates to their little profession, what they're doing, right? So we'll look at how to find these ideas. But if you're interested in doing something like this, leave me a comment. Let me know what is stopping you. What is the thing that you want to know more about? In other words, let's say you're sold that this is what you want to do and you have a good idea. Like, what's the next big rock that you're concerned with? Is it how to build it, like the actual tech aspect of it? Is it how to market it? Is it how to vet that idea? Make sure you don't spend a year building it and, then it flops. Like, what are the things that you're worried about? Let me know in the comments and I'll try to cover those in the next videos. Because I've been doing this for a while. So I have a pretty good idea about what steps to take to go from, hey, I want to do this to, out there and making money. One of the best things that happened over the last 10 years is how much easier it became to take payments, take credit cards. It used to be incredibly difficult. And now with things like Stripe, it's so easy. A lot of people that are starting this right now don't have to mess around with it. It's huge. All right, so this is Jacob Greenfeld. And so he's got this little chart here in the background, this background image. So generate ideas, evaluate ideas, validate ideas, build ideas. And what you have at the end of it is profitable businesses. What's fascinating to me about this is he wrote an AI agent that scours the web for pain points. Then it rates them for their monetization potential and how difficult those pain points would be to solve. It's not perfect, but already surprisingly useful in surfacing interesting problems. So he uses AI to research a boatload of these. Then he uses AI to actually go through it and vet it and filter out like the bad ones and figuring out what are like the top ones that would be good to actually go all in on and start building that particular solution, that particular business. And he publishes a lot of his discoveries on his Substack, Business Brainstorms. I'll leave a link in the description. Again, no one's paying me for this. I've been reading some of his ideas and I gotta say, some are pretty good. All right, so let me just quickly point out some of the stuff that he talks about here. So thumbnailtest.com generated 20,000 this month. So here's like the thumbnailtest.com. So it's an A/B split testing software for testing on YouTube. So different thumbnail, the picture that you see in front of YouTube videos makes a big difference to how well the video will perform. Interesting, vivid thumbnails that kind of capture the user's attention and get them interested in the story that the YouTube video will then tell. Those videos tend to do better if the thumbnail is good. So the way you test which one is better is what's called A/B tested or split tested, meaning you take all the people that see it and you kind of split into two categories and you show half one version of it and the other half the other version. And then, there's like a statistical formula that tells you when you've shown it to enough people to know statistically when you're going to be, confident that one of them is better than the other. And so that can be a little bit difficult. You got to know, the formulas. You also got to know how to actually split up those images to show to different people. And this just takes care of it for you. So $15 a month for basic, 30 for if you have a team, and then 70 for like the enterprise level. So if you have one channel and you just want to run these tests, and it looks like they include titles as well as titles and thumbnails to see which one's better. You're able to do daily and hourly tests. So that's $15 a month. So if they're making 20,000 per month, let's say all of them are $15, because obviously they probably have other users at the higher levels, but at $15 a month, so that's 1,333 users. That would not be too hard to acquire. By the way, there's this great post by Kevin Kelly, and Tim Ferriss was the one that originally pointed this out to me. It's called 1,000 True Fans. And if you're getting started on something like this might be a good read. And the reason being is that oftentimes when we start a business like this, in our minds, we think, oh, we need to reach tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people to make this business profitable, to make this business work. And oftentimes that is very far from the truth. In fact, as you'll see if you read this, in general, if you can get 1,000 people to really like what you're doing, to like your solutions, that is kind of the point at which you're making a full-time living from something like this, where you're doing maybe 6 figures a year, maybe 7 figures, maybe you're going into making $1 million plus per year. That's kind of like that point at which you kind of made it, in a sense that as long as you continue building and improving and serving these people and helping them, like you're good, like your expenses are taken care of, so you can just focus on this. In other words, you don't need 1 million people to like your stuff to quit your job and do this, because by 1,000, oftentimes that's enough to do very, very well. And then you can grow from there. So I thought it was funny that, this guy's making 20,000 per month. We're just a little bit over, 1,000 users. It could be under 1,000 users since he probably has a few enterprise accounts, a few pro accounts, whatever. Then you have Deal Sourcer is doing 25,000 MRR. So that's monthly recurring revenue. So use the power of AI to find and source the best property deals. This seems like a really good idea. Then you have Podnotes, generates 22,000 a month, and helps transcribe and summarize your podcast. Podnotes helps you transcribe, summarize, and repurpose your audio video podcast using AI. In one of my videos, I don't remember which one, but I go, oh yeah, by the way, here's a cool little thing that I built. And I walk you through how to build that. I didn't really go too in depth because that wasn't part of the video or whatever. But I gotta say, I'm pretty blown away by how simple something like this would be. I feel like most of the time spent building something like this is not going to be the tech behind it. It's going to be, building kind of like this landing page where you tell people what the value from something like this is, from building the kind of the user interface and just testing it and making sure everything's working and, interacting with users to make sure they're happy, stuff like that. And ChatGPT can write a significant part of this code for you, because that's what I've kind of relied on to generate some of the code. You still have to test it. You got to make sure it works. There's no bugs. Sometimes some of the information that ChatGPT has is a little bit outdated, but stuff like this is much more accessible for the average person than I think most believe right now. And it looks like they're all pulling in, 20,000 a month plus. One interesting thing here is, so a while back, so he's got this post from a year ago where he highlights Excel Formula Bot is making 5,000 monthly recurring revenue. That's Formula Bot. It's the same thing that has been highlighted here, a year later, making 300,000 per year, which is about 25,000 a month. So this thing in 1 year, helping people with Excel formulas, went from probably when he started, quickly got to 5,000 a month recurring revenue, to within a year to now 25,000 a month in recurring revenue. And so let's bring it back to where we started. This was the first page that we looked at when the video got started. This is from Goldman Sachs. AI poised to begin shifting from excitement to deployment in 2024. I think that should be our rallying cry. In 2023, there's a lot of excitement. I kept getting excited about this and that and all this new stuff that was coming out. And that was great, but it's time to go into deployment mode. It's time to start building. So if you have an idea, or maybe you don't even have an idea yet, but you're like, that this is what you want to be doing, like maybe a good New Year's resolution will be to say, I'm going to build something this year. 2024 will be the year. And if you're watching this in 2025, don't take this to mean that you've missed it. Whatever date is on the calendar right now, one of the biggest mistakes. So I've been doing e-commerce since 2011. One of the biggest mind shifts that I think would help people is like, how in surfing, if you're standing on the beach and you see the perfect wave go by, you don't go, oh, shoot, we missed it. Let's go home. Like, I'm never going to surf again. That would be a silly approach. What you do, I've surfed once in my life, so I apologize if this is all wrong. But what you do is you go out there, you paddle out there, you do the work, needed to get in position so that when that next perfect wave comes along, you're ready for it. And with a lot of this stuff, just from being online for the last decade plus, a lot of people look at what already happened. They said, well, I missed everything. Everybody already did everything. There's nothing new. And the reality is bigger, better things are always coming. So start paddling, start learning, start thinking, start brainstorming, and that's going to increase your chances of catching that big wave. So in 2024, we're going to have a lot of opportunities. The GPT stores is being unleashed, right? It looks like it's going to be early 2024 when that opens up. That's going to be a huge opportunity. Or you can do something like this, do a simple wrapper, a no-code wrapper around maybe OpenAI's API. Something that, again, most people will be able to do. This is not rocket science. Or if you already have the mad skills, if you're a coder, you can even do some of the next level stuff with potentially OpenAI's assistants, building assistants. That seems incredible. You do need a little bit more technical know-how to do that. The stuff that GPT Vision unlocked seems amazing. We covered self-operating computer on this channel a while back, and it seems incredible. It's not quite ready yet. As of this recording, it still misclicks often enough to where it's not super useful yet, but you can see the power of it. Especially, they have another Google Chrome app, which is, it's the same company, so they have the same version of it as a Google Chrome add-on or extension, whatever it's called. And that thing works extremely well. It's really good. It doesn't misclick because it's embedded in the Chrome browser. Having something like that, where instead of paying them, I think it's like $50 a month, or whatever, 40 actions that I can take, which is, I'd rather just have unlimited actions and just pay the API bill. Like if you're able to create something like that and just hand it to people that don't have the technical know-how how to do that themselves, I feel like who wouldn't want that? To just automate whatever they're doing online? Like people will pay a lot of money for that, for full automation, unlimited automation. So we'll be covering more ideas in the future. We'll be covering in how to start building stuff like this. We'll walk through how to build your first app, how to deploy it, how to market it potentially. I'd love to know what roadblocks you think you'll be facing, what interests you more, what are the things that you think will stop you from doing this. Let me know in the comments and I'll try to maybe go over those and eliminate those if possible. But this guy, Notch, he was the one that single-handedly developed Minecraft, sold for, I think, $1 billion to Microsoft. So that's something that's possible. And by the way, Minecraft wasn't making $1 billion. It just had a lot of users that Microsoft wanted. The person that made Stardew Valley, that was a one-person developer. So I think he made like 131 million selling on Steam. So the potential income ceiling is pretty high is what I'm saying. And there are a lot of different ways to get there. You can even build a free app just to get users on board and then follow up with more expensive services. You can do something where you charge people $15 a month, do kind of like an MRR, monthly recurring revenue type of deal. Or you can even create something that a large tech company or maybe even a medium-sized tech company might want, where they just want the users. So HubSpot acquired The Hustle, which was just a newsletter, right? So at around 27 million. So I think they had like 1 million users at the time or somewhere around there, 1.5 million subscribers to a newsletter. So they didn't buy it for like the advertising revenue that newsletter was generating. They wanted those users. They wanted those tech savvy, business oriented users because it was HubSpot and that was their user base. So they acquired basically for about $20 or like $15 a user. They acquired all those users that were engaged and interested. Don't overthink the monetization. Obviously, you want something where there's money in that space, right? Maybe don't go into basket weaving, or who knows, maybe basket weaving is a great space. I don't know. Make sure there's some money flowing around that space. But in terms of monetization, there's a lot of different ways to monetize. You just need to solve a problem that helps people, that gets people excited. That's the biggest thing. The rest oftentimes will fall into place. You obviously got a plan for it, think about it, but don't dismiss it just because you can't see it yet. Solve the problem. That's step 1. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, get acquired for $27 million. I may be slightly exaggerating, but not by much. If you're excited, subscribe, hit thumbs up. My name is Wes Roth, and thank you for watching.